Welcome back to Elizabeth Vargas Reports. In politics, we know that polls matter, money really matters, and endorsements matter, though exactly how much is hard to say. We do know this. After NewsNation's big Republican primary debate last night, the race is now on for the coveted endorsement of Governor Sununu of New Hampshire. New Hampshire's first in the nation primary is creeping up. It's just 47 days away. The state is an early, critical test that can set the tone for the rest of the primaries, and that means its governor can be a bit of a kingmaker. Christie is putting all his chips on the Granite State. He's polling third there right now, behind Nikki Haley and Donald Trump, and he and the other candidates will need serious momentum to take down somebody as far ahead as former President Trump. Moments ago, I asked New Hampshire Governor Sununu about the state of the race and who he thinks can beat Trump for the nomination. Governor Sununu, thanks so much for being here. You've been on the campaign trail with all three governors, as you call them, Governor Ron DeSantis, former Governor Nikki Haley, now former Ambassador Nikki Haley, and Governor Christie. Last night, you watched the debate. Have you made up your mind on which of the three you will endorse in New Hampshire?
Well, I haven't quite made up my mind yet. I think they all did very well. I think Ron and Chris did exceptionally well. They took advantage. Chris didn't have quite as much time as some of the others, but I think he took advantage of his moment. They all were attacking Nikki, which tells you that she's the threat right there. And you saw, obviously, Nikki get a little go back and forth with Vivek, who's just kind of a joke at this point, to be honest. So we're really focusing on the three governors, folks that not just can win, but really are going to be the best president, right? Really have the skills to get stuff done. Everyone agrees on the policies here, but
well, what are you waiting for an endorsement? I mean, you're 5 weeks away from voting in New Hampshire.
Yeah, so no, we definitely have a few weeks, and the numbers will continue to move, to be sure. So I'll definitely make an endorsement in pretty short order, I think. I told them all I'd give them a call following the debate and kind of talk about their teams and their strategies and all that sort of thing, and kind of see how they did there and what numbers are moving. But for me, it's just all about somebody that I can get behind. I think they're all terrific, that all make great presidents, there's no question. But someone that's really going to not just deliver on the policies, but actually execute them, work with Congress. No one knows if Congress is going to be Republican or Democrat-led, but I need a president that knows how to do it both ways, that knows how to get it done regardless of what hand they're dealt. That's what true leadership is.
Well, you have made it clear that you don't think that person is Donald Trump. You have called him a three-time loser and, quote, effing crazy. The DeSantis campaign right now is running ads on television showing Trump confused and clearly implying he's mentally unfit to be president. I pressed him on that last night in the debate, and he dodged, and Governor Christie called him on it. He just says Donald Trump is too old to be president. Do you think Governor DeSantis is going to have to confront Donald Trump more forcefully if he's going to actually beat him?
So, look, I think all the candidates need to keep confronting Trump and the Trump issue and the fact he won't get on stage, but they have to do it in the right way. And the way you do it isn't Ron DeSantis or Chris Sununu or Nikki Haley or even Christie that's going to convince a Trump voter to move. Trump voters need to see other Trump voters move. They need to. They listen to their neighbors. They listen to the veteran down the road and their friend that's the farmer that have supported Trump, as a lot of us did, and said, look, inflation is too big of an issue to get somebody in there that's constantly distracted with legal issues, or just didn't get it done, even with Republicans in Congress, couldn't secure the border. But they're not going to do it because we say. They're going to do it because they see other Trump voters move. And I think that's where you're going to see the biggest shift in the numbers in the coming weeks.
So you have been very critical of Donald Trump. You are hugely popular in New Hampshire, and yet Donald Trump is leading among Republican voters in your state by nearly 50%. Why is there a disconnect there between what you're saying very loudly and very clearly and the support he clearly enjoys in your state?
Well, he's the former president, right? He was the voice bearer, if you will, of the party for many, many years. The fact that he only has 50% of the vote after being an incumbent president is actually quite shocking. That's actually a shockingly low number, if you think of it that way. So the fact that he was the standard bearer, the former president, coming back and still only has 50%, not of American support, of his base party support. So that's actually a very low number. And knowing that about a third, all the polls show about a third of his voters will move off from him. So if you get this down to about 3 or 4 candidates, which we have, we said we'd work hard to do that, and we did, and now you get maybe a 40-40, 10-10 type split. If someone can really surge to take them on, now they're going to really make a run of it, not just in New Hampshire, but then get into a true one-on-one race as you go into Super Tuesday. And that's what this is all about.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.